What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of November 8th through the 14th of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, fixed air moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Whoa, what a time to be alive, everybody. I'm doing this live on Sunday evening, of course, and I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a little emotionally tied up in that concert from hell. Like that really hit me. I had to dig into it a lot and look at a bunch of avenues, and that Scott show was something else. I've never seen or felt such darkness. And I was thinking back to last week when I put out this weekly forecast, and I was like, "That feels dark." It I didn't think it was gonna, manifest in that level of dark, and it did. And thoughts and prayers definitely go out to the people that were there and the ones that didn't make it. That was definitely not just a stampede. I'm not gonna just go into disclosure. There's plenty of people that are gonna do that elsewhere, but that's very important as we move forward. We should all look into that because we're living in a war that's very much a frequency war, which is kind of something that I think even Saturn and Uranus squaring off is bringing to the table, as we've experienced that, and we're going to see that for a long time here, and up until December when it meets again, but it'll be close next year with retrograde, so it's not like we're out of Saturn square Uranus territory, and these Uranus oppositions that we're getting here with Mars and Mercury. Mercury will oppose Uranus this week. We got to be very mindful of our frequency, and we got to pay attention to that stuff because there's a lot that looks like it's going on behind the scenes there. And hey, it's full on Scorpio season now. Like, it's no joke Scorpio season. We just had a new moon. We're building up to a lunar eclipse in Taurus. I mean, this week and a half here that we're in it's intense. I mean, I can't even think of a better word to use for it, as we're going to start to see so much revealing itself. Now, I think it's important to remember, we're all experiencing this depth of Scorpio right now in deep, penetrating ways, and we all have to deal with, our personal life, right? So, I mean, it's important to use this astrology right now to be, no joke, honest with yourself. There's a lot that's going on in the world that we need to pay attention to as Scorpio is digging everything up. Everything's getting dug up. There's secrets, there's hidden stuff. This is where a lot of that's coming out. But in our personal lives, we got to be very mindful of what is coming up, because whatever's digging up in our lives is very, very, very important for us to do that work. And I think in a lot of ways, we're in this collective dark night of the soul energy, and we're having to navigate that. But we have to, we have to love our shadow. So whatever's showing up in life right now, deal with your shadow. Expose that shadow, shine a light on that, because that's going to help us so much as individuals and as a collective, because who knows where things are going. Like what that show looked like to me that happened a couple days ago, that looked like a test run. I could be wrong, but that's what it feels like to me. That's what it looked like. And if you look at, stadiums that are running a high level of 5G, and you look at what people in that audience were saying, because there's a lot of stuff coming out online right now of people that were there, and they're all saying the same exact story about how they couldn't breathe, about how they felt trapped, suffocated. This is a frequency war. And we got to be mindful of that. So I got to start with that because it's just so on my mind and it's important. So I do think everybody should dive into that and do their own work and investigate it. We are in the Scorpio season. We got Mercury in Scorpio. We got to look into the dark stuff right now. And I know that's not always fun. We got to do it especially with ourselves, but we need to do it and pay attention to the dark stuff in the world too, because otherwise we're just going to push these things down and hide these things, and it's a bad time to do that. This astrology is as intense as ever. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is the most intense Scorpio season I have ever felt. And it just got kicked off fully with that new moon. Like, you don't get the full energy until you get a new moon in that sign. So now we're in the lunation. We're in that cycle. And it was opposed Uranus. I mean, talk about frequency wars. This whole cycle is a frequency war. So be careful out there. If you're going to places with a lot of people, if you're going to places high population or in cities, try and North Node Gemini some things, and like pay attention to your environment and your surroundings and have backup plans and be able to pivot and just be aware, because it seems like a very dangerous time moving forward to just go out and South Node Sagitt and just, oh, everything is going to be fine. Like, pay attention. And that's just what I have to say, because of course I want to give these and I want to be very uplifting and inspirational and push that stuff, but things are going to get more and more serious as we're going. And next year, with those nodes shifting and a South Node in Scorpio, oh my God. And I don't know if any of you guys looked at that show. Guess what the background was? Not only was it fiery hell, but it was fucking Mount Capricorn. It was a mountain. And we're seeing this Pluto that is the dispositor of Scorpio heading towards America's Pluto. I mean, we are about to see, like I've mentioned before in horoscopes, overreaches of power like we've never seen. I was a little bit, blind to what is really going on. I think we've all kind of known about maybe the frequency stuff and the 5G stuff, but it's a little bit more serious than ever now. So we got to pay attention to all that, okay? I just want to say that please be aware of what you're doing, of your surroundings. Be careful. We got to keep a high vibe. I mean, honestly, like, we got to go into the shadow, but we got to love ourselves in our own shadow so that we can help expose the big dark shadow. I've never seen anything so dark in my life and felt something so dark. So I'm done with that. We're going to talk about the astrology now. But this is that time. I can't not speak on it. All right. So this is quite the week in the astrology. We are going to see that moon start off the week in Capricorn. It's going to meet with Pluto, now direct. We've seen a lot in Scorpio, and we've had to dig up a lot. But now that Mercury's here and done with the retrograde in Libra, it's not so much about understanding the aesthetic or the beauty and the balance. Like, this is understanding the deep, dark, nitty-gritty of reality, of yourself. This Mercury's going to meet with Mars this week, and it's no coincidence that they meet exactly on top of each other in Scorpio at 7 degrees, square Saturn. So this is a very interesting energy that we're coming into this week. This is one side of it with Mercury and Mars is like, oh, quick decisions, quick action. Like, we're going to make things happen. We're going to move towards our desires. And that's the positive side, is that it's through the deep, dark work. It's through any shadow. It's through anything that's being exposed in life that we can make assertive decisions, have an assertive understanding, but it's got to be of the deepest truth. It's got to be of what the deepest desires are. And it really does have to be pushing you in a direction that you really want to merge with. Merging is so important this week. And Saturn here it's like a block. It's like a roadblock in a way to all of this. Like, it feels like a traffic jam being in square to this Mercury and Mars. But it's like there are important traffic jams or blocks that are showing up right now that are teaching us discipline. I think discipline's a good way to look at it here, but it's frequency discipline with Saturn and Aquarius. This is the discipline to go deep and to know that we're going deep and to have understanding of this and the passions and the directions and the connections, but we got to slow down and make really strong decisions, really good decisive moves, not just impulsive. And even with Mercury coming to oppose Uranus by the end of the week, which Mars will get to next week, I mean, this is major epiphany moments, but this is also like, we gotta really make sure we have all the dots connected. It's simply getting to a point in time as we progress into some wild waters that we are really seeing the big picture. I think that this Mercury in opposition to Uranus it's got some really positive aspects to it. I mean, talk about channeling, past life memory, connecting dimensions. There's a lot out there. And with the sun this week trining over to Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune at 20 degrees retrograde, I mean, this is a sun at 20 Scorpio and Neptune at 20 Pisces. This is third decan. This is the last third of Pisces and the last third of Scorpio. Wow, this is like the ultimate wide open, but at the same time having to draw good boundaries, having to, in some ways, slow down, because there is sort of a docile energy when you get a defining planet like the sun, which is our energy and really our light and our expression here, that's getting this huge, beautiful upgrade from Neptune, from God, from like source here. That's, I think, unlocking, and in many ways, I'm going to be honest, this could be on the most positive of levels for people, unlocking some of the deepest psychic abilities, psychic attunement. Mercury opposite Uranus. Like, talk about having like past life memory out of nowhere. Talk about just having a full picture. This is honestly one of those weeks where these things can take place. So, I mean, wow, beautiful energy with that trine to Neptune. But there's no boundaries with Neptune, zero boundaries. And Scorpio is all about the boundaries. So it's very, very, very important to not forget about your boundaries, especially energetically and spiritually, but physically too. And to draw very healthy ones, because this is also a time where we can escape. We can just go into la la land and not pay attention to what's actually happening in reality. If you use this for your benefit, though, on a beautiful trine like this, like, your psychic abilities can give you the strongest boundary that you've ever needed, especially spiritually. But if we're escaping physical world, especially with substance, like anytime we get like Sun Neptune aspects, you don't really want to go too far with substances, especially with a Neptune in Pisces. Slow down though. Like, slow down, feel everything, because this sensitivity is unlocking not only emotional maturity and emotional spiritual evolution, but it's also unlocking this mental channel with Mercury in opposition to Uranus. So, I mean, we get some amazing aspects this week. Just in that aspect with the sun and Neptune. We've never seen this before from Scorpio. So we get this fixed water, this fixed emotion, this really like psychic attunement, but also this depth and this darkness that we're having to navigate. But it's also about the faith with Neptune. It's about believing that God has a plan, I think, is important too. Not only just taking in your spiritual upgrades, but that spiritual upgrade is also, it's like there's a plan out there that's exposing, and we just don't want to be a part of the experiment. With the Saturn and Uranus square, with a moon coming into Aquarius to make that first quarter square with the sun in Scorpio, which will be a day before the sun will trine Neptune, which I believe is Thursday. So we're seeing that Wednesday. We'll look at the charts and make sure. But Wednesday is the Mercury-Mars square Saturn day. So, I mean, this week kind of starts off like, yeah, the moon's going to be in Capricorn. It's with Venus. It's going to meet with Pluto. Like, it's kind of like we got to dedicate to the best possible boundaries and to the highest frequency and to the highest spiritual self that we have, that holds a high level of faith that we can, create from. Because really, Sun trine Neptune is extremely creative. It's extremely channeled. It's extremely gifted. Same with Mercury opposite Uranus. Like, there's something about, we can figure this all out. So whatever that means in our personal lives that we're going through. So yes, there's really big stuff, in my opinion, taking place in the world right now that's crazier than pretty much anything I've seen all year. We're going to see where that does go. But personal life stuff, this is you doing the deep work and drawing the healthiest boundaries with yourself so that you can unlock amazing, unbound creative potential and the faith to make these things happen. So it's a crucial week. But we're also seeing another very nice aspect with Mars and Venus for pretty much the rest of the month here up until about early December. We're going to see Venus and Mars in a sextile. And it's going to get very tight, but they're not going to hit exact. So it's this drawn out sextile, which is kind of funny when I think about it, because when I think about that energy, especially with Mars in Scorpio, Venus in Capricorn, I think of like, wow, yeah, like this is definitely having us passionate. This is definitely having us want to put our love somewhere, put our creative expression somewhere, maybe physically, intimately, but it's like it never fully gets the glue that we're looking for. And I think that that's very interesting as it builds, because I think we're going to want to have this very strong urge to connect, to be in relationships, to just relate in general, or how to figure out, what's going to bring us happiness and feel good energy in life. And that's great. But we got to make sure it's the shit, especially with Venus here in Capricorn. Like, do all of these connections, do all of these relationship aspects, money aspects that we think are the thing. I feel like by this week, with all the aspects to Uranus and with the Neptune trine with the sun, it's like we can be a little out there, and we have to be kind of real about what these desires really are for our future, because what are they really? Like, we're seeing some of the strangest things start to happen, and it's likely that more high strange things come. So where do our ambitions and the things that we want to bring in and relate to, what is that really? And I think we can get to the bottom of that. I think that we can figure it out, but there's going to be a strong desire to do something that's just going to make us feel good. And we got to make sure it's the real deal. And I think that we got to make sure that it's built to last, that it is going to bring us the ultimate whatever, especially if it's money aspects in our life, like in relationships, values, the way you feel about yourself. Like, you got to make sure that whatever you're penetrating into and whatever you're trying to achieve right now is from the soul, is from the heart. Because if it's material and it's not based around something deeper, you might feel like wasted energy, because Venus is just going to come in retrograde on Pluto. So it's like we could be like so down to manifest money, so down for all these ambitions that we think we have. But by mid-December, like, things are going to change again. And right after the Venus retrograde on Pluto, what'll still be stationed on Pluto, we do get the third and final Saturn-Uranus square. So, which I believe will be at like 11 degrees. I'll have to check, but 11 degrees, like, whoa, critical, self-critical square of like redefining all the frequency and all the energy that we've put out there. And was it for the future? Was it for what Pluto's taking away? So I think so much of this week is about this deep soul work, this deep shadow work, so that we can prepare ourselves for the end of the year, next year, just where things are going. Because it's not that it's going to be dark forever, but that South Node in Scorpio is going to bring a level of darkness. And we're seeing darkness, like, I'm serious, like, go watch that Travis Scott stuff. That's the darkest public anything I've ever seen in my life. And nobody knew they signed up for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's probably other darker ritual stuff that people maybe like knew they were going to. Those fans had no idea. So we don't really know. That's the biggest thing. But whatever's coming up, whatever's being felt is so important to shine a light on, to deal with. And I think that we also, for some people right now, it can be a little bit easier. For some people right now, they can go into that shadow, or they've done so much shadow work before that they're in a place that they can help. They're in a place to hold space. And that's going to be important too, is that, Scorpio is this kind of like merging with other power. So some people are going to have this like great help. They're going to be here to give you the helping hand that you need. They're going to be able to lend you some of their power and strength. And that space in itself is so important. So there's two sides. I think collectively, so many people are going to have to deal with this deeper, darker aspect of reality, whatever that may look like right now. It can look like rent, like job, like relationship, like, just money in general. But we have to be able to feel everything, look into the future, and use our creative, unbound intelligence, creative, unbound desire and emotion, and our souls to know that we can come out of the other side, that we are going to rise up like the phoenix. And this week is just really quite a build up to a lunar eclipse in Taurus, which that is no joke. It's on Algol. That's the demon star. We just started off this lunation with some legitimate demon shit. There's demonic energy that's flexing, and that's what we're up against, and some people don't want to hear that, and some people think it's a conspiracy. But you look at all the energy that we just had in Capricorn with a Pluto Jupiter, a Pluto Saturn. The nodes were there. The South Node was there. It's not anymore. But these big Capricorn cycles, remember, Capricorn in tarot is the devil. So we're not, it's not a joke right now. Like, there are so many signs pointing towards some legitimate demonic, especially with the South Node coming into Scorpio next year. I cannot stress it enough. We got to be ready now. So this is the week that we're doing the inner work to prepare ourselves in the best way possible for where the future is going, and to have a solid internal fixed foundation that Mars is trying to help us cut through all the cords, cut through all the BS, and move with passion, desire, and even certainty towards where we know we need to go right now. And there's so much spiritual help coming through with the Sun trine Neptune. And there's even Uranus in opposition to Mercury, which can be a little neurotic. I mean, this can make people think they're like a little cuckoo because they're getting maybe so many downloads from who knows what part of space and time, who knows what timeline. But we have to be able to decipher this stuff and figure it out. And I mean, talk about a good week to dream journal. Like, if you're having dreams or visions, anything that you're intuiting, like, write that stuff down. Pay attention to it. It's so important right now to use your deepest senses of feeling moving forward for whatever that means in your life. We got to do that deep work. And this is that week to do it. Little strange beginning. I appreciate you guys for watching, the couple people that are in here for this live. And let's pull up the charts and go into this. Sending you all my love and best. It's wild times. And I've kind of been, I'll be honest, I even felt like there's times where I'm like saying, wow, things are looking really crazy. Things feel really crazy moving forward. And like things just kind of like are mellow, chill. And I'm like, maybe I'm crazy. Well, if anybody else is feeling that way, it doesn't, like, I'm not saying it's like an I told you so, but it's important. And I think that's the seriousness of just this weekly, is like, this is all very important times. We got to use whatever's showing up in our life to cut through the BS, to cut cords, so that we can transform our lives. Like, that's what's really happening right now, is a spiritual soul transformation and a mental transformation to get our physical in alignment. And we have to be in that place from within to do it. All right. Let's look at Monday. We're going to have the sun come to 16 degrees. Definitely, starts off pretty divine. Like, that's a 7, and it's already starting to work. It's going to be a 4-degree orb to Neptune for that trine. So this week just starts off with this pretty, like, there's light out there. There's divinity. We have to know it deep within ourselves. Like, that's what we're trying to shine a light on Monday. And with the moon in Capricorn just past Venus, late Sunday night, like, where are we dedicating in our life? Where are we being, where do we need to kind of boss up? Where do we need to put our attention? Where do we need to put our focus, our flow? These are going to be important areas. The moon's going to make really nice aspects to Mercury and Mars, and Venus is pretty much in sextile with Mars and Mercury too, but definitely Mercury's coming off that as Mercury's starting to pick up the speed here. But there's this good energy trying to come to Venus right now and trying to really like get us grounded in making good decisions for relating, for money, for anything that we want to attract in physically, that we want to manifest, that we want to create in life. We can really do this from a powerful place within ourselves, but we got to go deep with the Scorpio energy. We got to really shine a light on that. And especially intuitively, spiritually, we want to tap into that energy big time. And the moon will even finish off the day here on Monday with its sextile to the sun. So, so much Capricorn energy, so much Scorpio energy. This has got to be the power moves for your life. And especially like emotionally. And how can you take the step forward? There's a lot of cardinal energy with the moon and Venus on Monday, and it is the moon's day, and it's starting the week. Like, where are we starting off this week from? What direction are we going in? And is it gonna get us to the top of whatever it is we're trying to get to the top of? Although this is also a time where it's like, okay, we also kind of want to check ourselves a little bit and make sure that those desires are matching with soul desires. Like not just ego, not just surface, deep soul mission, sort of destiny desires. Important. And we're going to see Mercury and Mars get close together. They're going to conjunct on Wednesday, square Saturn at 7 degrees. Like, big decision time. There's going to be roadblocks up in life. If you're not doing the deeper work, if you're just trying to scoot along the surface and skate by, it's it's going to be hard, I think, with this Saturn square. But it's also trying to, with Saturn at 7 degrees, like, we have to be very responsible of what we're connecting to, the frequency we want to keep, where the future's going. Do they match with soul desires? What's the ultimate merger? What's the ultimate connection? Anything else is kind of BS, and we don't want to bypass. This is just not a good time to bypass the reality of situations, but also the deeper emotional reality of any situation in life. So, we start off Monday. It's a good day to feel. It's divine. There should be a sense of like really tapping in Monday to see where your future can go and what the building blocks are to get there. And we are going to see the moon square Chiron as well. So it's like, yeah, there's some of the emotional places here that we got to hit if we're going to keep pushing forward. But we can get to the top. It's crazy too that it just came up again in my mind was that Scott show, like the background, the stage, it was a mountain, Capricorn. Like, we got to keep, getting to the top of our own mountain, but we also got to pay attention for everybody that's trying to kick us off of the mountain at the same time. So strong boundaries, strong spiritual boundaries are kind of what we start off with on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to see, again, Mars is going to come to 7 degrees, but not fully square Saturn. But like, yeah, there's these deep desires that our ego has. It's getting checked by Saturn. It's getting checked by the big guy. It's getting checked by like, what are you really moving towards right now? Like, what is it? And if it's getting a super block there, it's important to do the deep work and ask the questions why. And even Mercury in Scorpio is like, just ask why. Ask yourself why. Start doing the digging. Start getting into the nooks and crannies. Like, we got to be deep thinkers. And Mercury and Mars will meet Tuesday evening, and they'll be at 6 degrees. I feel like them meeting, they're going to meet at 7, actually, it looks like, if I look at the degrees. So they're not going to meet at 6, but at 7 exactly. More spiritual 7 degrees. with the sun 3 degrees away from the exact trine to Neptune and the sun at 17, like we're seriously dedicating to the deeper work right now so that we can evolve and move higher spiritually, so that we can use this extremely unbound creative channel to get through things. It's bringing compassion to the table, but we got to remember our boundaries and we got to dedicate to those. And the moon will be with Pluto. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely emotional boundaries are a priority, and it's starting to get intense, and we're starting to see all the deep stuff. And if we're not on it with ourselves, and also being able to hold space for the ones that we love, that we care for, like it's like whoa. And what's even crazier is we're coming up on the first quarter square, which is the midway point to the lunar eclipse, which will be on Thursday. Not the eclipse, but the first quarter square. Like, these are important times. And it's just the deep work. Like, I'll be honest, like we all have to do it. I've had to do it last week. I'm willing to go and do some more of it this week. You know, I've talked to countless people that it's just the most scorpionic energy ever. We're seeing whether it's relationships ending or getting intense or some of that darkness. We're seeing it with people having to move, not having what they need, not having the money. Stress levels are high. Like, we're all going through it some way, somehow. Death. I know some people who lost people, and then we saw the Travis Scott thing, and there's people like we're having to deal with a lot of shadow, with a lot of dark energy. So we got to do it though. Like, that's the importance. That's where the greatest power is going to be found, is in that deep work. So we don't want to skip out on that. And there's going to be blocks up if we're not like really channeling that, if we're not really asserting ourselves to what we need to do internally to attract in what we need physically. Because if we're just doing the physical in Scorpio season, it's not going to work. Like, we're missing a big part of the picture, which is the deep feeling to everything, the desire, the emotion behind it, the unseen. That's what we're trying to kind of like bring into. Wednesday's intense. Wednesday is Saturn, Mercury conjunct in Scorpio, which I like that energy because it's given us a lot of mental strength. It's giving us strong decision making, quick making, making the quick decision, especially for what you really want, what you desire. But it's at this 7 degree and it's square Saturn at 7 with the moon on Saturn. Oh my gosh, 2 conjunctions square each other. The moon does not want to be with Saturn in Aquarius. And, Mars is loving it over there in Scorpio, and Mercury doesn't mind, and Saturn loves it. So, I mean, this is definitely hard on our emotions. Like, the moon's getting, like, zapped here by an extremely strong current of emotion. And I feel like we can have, there can be anger, like big time anger, especially if we're not getting what we want, or if people aren't getting what they want, or they're not seeing this physical world or society the way they want to see it. And they just want to, like, it's not gonna work good. So that's why we're doing the deep work this week. We're getting ourselves internally ready so that we can make powerful decisions. These are smart decisions with Saturn in Aquarius. These are decisions that are going to connect us. These are decisions about our future, for people, for the merge. The greatest merge of energy that we could hope for can be out there, but we got to figure out exactly what that is for ourselves, and we got to hone in on it. And I would say that Mars and Mercury here are like honing us in on where we can go, and we're seeing the sun at 18, which makes a 9. So yeah, Wednesday's intense and assertive, and we're gonna have to really make sure that we're making the right decisions. Decisions are gonna be everything, and not, I would say not like playing the victim if you don't get what you want, or if things didn't show up the way that you want or that you thought they would. Like, we gotta get past that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta own everything. This is about owning every emotion, every thought and acting accordingly, and like making maybe not the easy decision, but the right decision, the true fair one that you know within your soul is right for you. And it's not definitely not about just whatever anybody else wants. Like, this is energy, especially with Venus here in Capricorn. Like, you got to look out for like what's going to get you to the top and who's coming with you. And those can be some of the greatest, connections, people, relationships. They're so important. As we come to Thursday, we are going to see the first quarter square of the sun and the moon in fixed signs. Moon in Aquarius. This is, just before my, this chart is just before my lunar return. I have a moon at 24 Aquarius. But this is wild because we're getting the sun at 19, which is a 10. So it's a manifestation of our deepest desires, of the boundaries we want, of how we can create a great merge, how we can connect to something bigger, how we can find our deepest power. We can manifest all these things, and especially spiritually, we can go so high and so far. We do not want to escape the deepness. We do not want to try and just bypass or numb ourselves out, because if we are present for this within ourselves, we can make huge things happen when it comes to connecting. The moon will be with Jupiter. It's literally, there's good luck here. There's extremely good luck in the action of where you're drawing some of the most important boundaries in your life, while also opening up. It's almost like the stronger your boundary right now within yourself, the more unbound your creative potential actually is. So you have to think about it that way, as like, yes, boundary is super important for you right now, but to unlock the greatest gift and unbound energy that you can have this week and moving forward, that you're going to need to start creating, that you're going to need to move passionately for, you have to have that boundary. You have to cut out toxic situations, and you don't want to numb this beautiful sort of energy out, in my opinion, with a substance. Like, we gotta feel this, because this is going to help us. It's crucial. And Mercury will be moving off of Saturn. Mars will be moving off Saturn. So it's like, I think by Thursday we can kind of feel a release, especially after the first quarter square of the sun and moon. But it's like, what are we going to do now? Okay, did we draw the good boundaries, and are we ready to open things up? And then we come to Friday, and we're going to see the exact trine at 20 degrees, which is it's extremely emotional degree at 20, but this is like you being able to use that feeling and that sensitivity and that spiritual attunement to create your deepest desires, the strongest bonds, the most unbound creative potential you can possibly imagine. I mean, we're talking Scorpio and Pisces. Like, you want psychic energy? Scorpio and Pisces is gonna give that to you. And you bring Neptune into it, which is literally channeling. It's dreaming. It's almost like we can start to create our individual dream, and that's going to change the collective dream from this moment on. And we want to be ready and have good boundaries and be strong within ourselves and have our desires met. And we're seeing Mercury in opposition to Uranus. So, I mean, Friday's no joke. And a moon in Pisces, like literally feeling everything. It's going to be also in sextile to Venus, which I like that a lot, at 6 degrees. I mean, we can really take amazing steps forward for what our ambitions are and our creative potential is, and how to manifest these things into our life. I honestly think Thursday, Friday, like, there's superpowers that could show up in your life, and especially even Saturday with Mercury opposite Uranus. If you've done the work, if you've set the boundaries, if you've gone into the deep dark to come out with the light and to rise up like the phoenix, like, you could be getting some extremely powerful insight. Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. Uranus is the higher octave. Uranus is the antenna to the heavens. It's the Akashic record. It's the channel. It's unpredictability. It's shock out of nowhere. You could wake up Friday, Saturday and be like shocked. Like, what did I just remember? What do I know? Like, no joke. And, that can freak people out. That can get people kind of, a little neurotic, a little crazy, a little anxiety mentally. But if you're ready for it, like if you kind of like see it coming and you're like, I'm going to own this energy so that I can get the best understanding of what to do for my future and where the building blocks are. Oh my God. This week's amazing for that. Absolutely amazing. And we come to Saturday and we see the moon with Neptune, trine the sun. That's magic, I'm telling you guys. But we got to make sure that we're using our love magic, our beautiful magic, to create beautiful lives that we want, that we can connect to fully. Venus will be at 7 degrees. We're seeing Venus and Mars in their sextile. We can go in, like, we can take this so far. And a moon with Neptune, like, we can take this dream so far for ourselves, and we can really create some magic. But there's also this other side with a Pluto direct now, the dispositor of the sun, Mercury and Mars. There's also the other side, and there's polarities to everything. So just as well as we can make magic happen in our lives, guess what the polarity of light is? It's dark. The dark can make power moves too. So we're going to see these things show up. They're going to be out there, but this is where we drew that very strong boundary around ourselves, spiritually, mentally, physically, and we're going to keep that away so that we can manifest the abundance and the light and the unconditional love that we want to move forward with, that we're going to need. Like, we're going to need that in this frequency and this amazing depth and this knowing of ourselves. We have to know ourselves on the deepest of level right now to know these desires, to know what we're going to work for and move for, so that we can tribe up, so that we can come together and start to figure these things out together and use these great gifts that we each have individually and uniquely together too. There's some powerful stuff. And the moon will finish off the day on Saturday with a sextile to Pluto. And Mercury will be in exact opposition to Uranus. Saturday is insane. It's insanely magical, but it all depends on where you want to put your magic. Like, if you're not, if people aren't going and doing the work, like, it can feel like not fun magic. Like, it can feel like you're just getting fucked by dark magic. But I think, more people that watch this channel than anything, like, you could be having some serious spiritual, emotional breakthroughs and figuring out exactly what you want next on Saturday. And being able to have this, like, connected understanding of it. It's amazing. It really is. And Sunday, we get the sun at 22 degrees. So it's starting to work on a sextile to Pluto. I mean, this is unlocking more of our power. We're going to see that coming into next week. Like, this is some serious power moves for our integrity as a soul, as souls, and how we can go deeper even. If we need to go deeper, let's go deeper, because we know that there's positivity out there, and we know that we're creating some magical things right now. So let's go deeper and see what else we can pull out. Let's see what else needs to be investigated and own up to that, because that's where the gift is. That's where the money is. That's where the power is. And we're seeing the sun almost square Jupiter. That's going to happen Monday morning. But that is a build up to Sunday. It's more of this great expanse, this great vision that we can have here for the future and what can open up doors in our life. And it's going to happen at 23 degrees. It's very mental. It's the depth of our understanding of our power. So I do believe this week you're going to realize personally that you have so much more power to create than you ever thought you did. You have to be willing to hold that frequency and believe that to be true, and you have to draw good boundaries for yourself, because if we're letting negative energy in this week, it can be very difficult to get out of that. Like we're in this middle of Scorpio this week. It's like we can feel like we're just being crushed by the powers that be. And they're showing up in different ways because we're not listening. And the Saturn square Mars and Saturn square Mercury, gotta listen to the signs. When life slows us down, it slows us down for a reason. And it's trying to show us how to connect to the highest spiritual vibration and the highest soul vibration for yourself right now. And it's all about the boundaries. And Sunday even has that energy too. We're like, yeah, we can open up all these quantum doors, but did you draw the right boundaries to open up the right doors in your life? I hope so. I would hope nothing more. And Mars will be 2 degrees away from the opposition to Uranus on Sunday. I love that in a way because, I mean, it's explosive energy. But yeah, we're going to come into next week and see Mars opposite Uranus, and I would not be surprised if we see literal explosive energy take place somewhere. I keep seeing volcanoes in my mind, so maybe a volcano will go off. I've talked about that over the last couple of weeks, but that's definitely deep explosive energy. We got to channel it in the right direction. We got to channel it to the right connections, the right mergers, the right passions, and it's like just things can happen, but we also don't want to be too impulsive. So, especially even with Mars coming off the square to Saturn, like, and Mars Mercury's a little impulsive too. There's this really powerful mix that we're in right now of like this strong impulse, but also this like, hey, slow things down just a little bit and make sure that it really is what you're connecting to and what your desires are. And if it is, then you can, shock, your own world with the magic that you've discovered, with sort of the abundance and the unbound potential that I think can be showing up on an individual level. But we got to own it. We can't bypass it. And the moon's going to come into Aries on Sunday to finish off this week. And it's going to meet with Chiron. It's going to square Venus by the evening. Like, where are we putting our masculine energy? Mars in Scorpio is trying to put it into the deepest passions, and I think the moon's definitely bringing some assertiveness as well. The sun will be at 22 degrees. That's breakdown, breakthrough, sort of Uranian energy. And we're getting, of course, Mars and Mercury, they're in opposition. The midpoint of them is 12 degrees, and it's in opposition to Mercury. So big time explosive energy, especially with the moon in Aries. We can be identifying with this in very strong ways that are unlocking our wisdom with Chiron, but we can also be stuck in almost a feeling of purgatory or powerlessness if we're not really feeling into what's right for us and making strong decisions and having the emotional courage to do so. Because if we're going to play the victim and not kind of trust the channel, not trust where God's trying to take us, I feel like there's potential to end up in really vulnerable situations. But damn, I mean, and square Venus, got to get some things done. Like, you got to get things done that are going to bring you feel good energy and make you feel like you're moving in the direction that you want. And that's going to be the key to attraction. It's going to be the key to getting out of feelings of not feeling so good or feeling a little let down within ourselves. And I did forget to mention, as we see the moon come into Pisces, we're going to see the moon square the node, so it's literally going to hit the halfway point of the eclipse pretty much. That'll be Friday morning. So Friday morning, we get the moon coming into Pisces to start the day, with Mercury getting ready to oppose Neptune, with the sun trine. The Mercury getting ready to oppose Uranus, with the sun trine Neptune, and a moon will be square the nodes. Friday, like I was saying, Friday's a fated day spiritually. Like, Friday, it's crazy. Friday's getting the ball rolling in ways we probably never could have imagined. They probably weren't even a part of our consciousness, as with Pisces energy, like kind of like collective unconscious, but it's almost like a sun trine Neptune here, the ruler of Pisces, like in a Mercury opposition to Uranus. Like, all of a sudden all these unconscious things become conscious, and it's like there's something coming that's, I think that there's things coming that are going to shock the world more, but I think on a personal level, you can be shocking yourself with how connected you can be this week, and how many doors that can open up for you. So I like this week. Definitely a different show this week. Went live. I just, I dropped my son off. I spent all week like getting him better. He was very sick last week. So I spent all week nursing my son and dealing with some crazy scorpionic shit in my own life other than that. And yeah, then this weekend, like, kind of chill until today when I started looking into that show, and I could not believe the level of darkness that went down. Like, and it kind of put me in a strange mood to do this show. So I just want to be honest and vulnerable with you guys. Like I wanted to get this out here for everybody, and I didn't want to wait until tomorrow to do it because I like to put it out on the weekend. But like, I'm in that kind of energy right now where I'm like, I'm a little pissed. I'm not pissed, but I'm like a little pissed because I can see that the dark is really starting to make their moves. And I just want you guys to be aware of that. So that's why I started the show the way I did and talked about that stuff. And I think that the astrology is so powerful for us right now because, I mean, there's light in the astrology. There's God coming down, especially with the yods we've had and being in eclipse time now as we're working towards a lunar eclipse. Like, there is some serious fate and magic that's coming down to help us, but we gotta do the work on ourselves to accept this magic. And that's where I think we all have to kind of look at our shadow very intensely. We all have to look at where we want to move very, very powerfully. Very, we almost have to be very strict, but with an open mind, and strict. But if we're seeing the block and we're seeing like, yeah, this isn't where God wants us to go, it's not the thing. Like, we also have to be very conscious of that. And I do think that, our consciousness gets an upgrade this week collectively. Maybe that means that we start to realize as a collective, because I know so many can see what's going on, but many don't. Maybe this is sort of the energy too that shocks the collective and kind of starts to make people ask more questions that don't or haven't been tending to ask many questions. So I would put that out there as like a hope too, but we'll see. But yeah, I love you guys very much. I hope you use this week for the most positive way forward for yourself, the most positive boundaries, the most positive spiritual growth, because this week has a huge potential for that. And it all starts deep within ourselves. And again, I've said this before, but if we do that deep work on ourselves, every time we have to go into that dark place, and we all have a shadow, we all have dark, we're equal parts dark and light, and sometimes we have to go into that dark, we come out more with more power in our light. So the more we do that as individuals, the stronger the collective will be. And we got to hold that space for our loved ones, for the collective too, and keep doing the work. This is definitely a week of like deep work, and it's important. Doing this work now will pay off 100x coming into next year. I truly believe that as well. I love you all so much. Have a great week. I'll see you for the dailies. Of course, I will be much more uplifting for the dailies and hit them like I usually do with whatever comes through that day for that channel. But I do hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you very soon. Much love, fam. Peace.